Everybody ready?
Yep. Let's go.
Lothra, Lothcat, Lothwolf, run. Pick a path, and all is done.
For Midwest Guys presents Star Wars Rebels HQ.
Continue to allow this war to be fought on the Empire's terms. You are going to lose.
All paths are coming together now.
As long as we're together, we've got a chance.
At least we'll go down fighting. It's time to get to work.
Your TIE Defender is at risk. Krennic has been quite persuasive about his own project, Stardust.
Ezra, it's not whether or not we fight.
It's how we choose to fight that matters. I know, Kanan.
We were meant to be Jedi so we could be here now when Lothal needs us most.
All the paths are coming together, right?
I'm just not sure if we're going to like where they lead.
But we never imagined it would end like this.
I think we just lost it. Okay, looks like we're back, hopefully. We've been dealing with some serious technical issues trying to get this podcast together today. So bear with us if we seem a little stop framey, if we seem stop motion kind of. But this is indeed the Star Wars Rebels HQ Midseason 4 trailer review as we Ankerbauer plays with the stop motion. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to watch the trailer. Hopefully the computer doesn't crash on us again, and after that we'll come back and we'll talk about the trailer a little bit, the first part, and then we'll do hopefully a scene by scene analysis of the new stuff. So bear with us though as we deal with these technical issues, because not everything's going to flow the way it should. So, but with that in mind, let's go watch the trailer, guys.
I've learned so much about life, about being a good person. If not for you guys, I'd be back on the throne, waiting to be rescued like everyone else.
Ezra, you have never been like everyone else.
What exactly am I looking for? Nothing and everything. That doesn't help.
Trust yourself. Trust the Force.
I could see what they were thinking.
You must have established a deep connection. The Force is trying
We
to
need to
tell
see
you.
squales.
Listen to it.
Yep, yeah, that was the squale scene.
We have hope. Hope that
I really like that. The dark saber with her. That was a good series.
Is it wrong for me to protect my friends?
How did I choose you to win? The question is...
That was really cool. Yeah, I've seen Anakin.
Fighting for the people. It won't be easy. We can't back down just because we're afraid. That's when we need to stand the tallest.
Your voice.
Love the battle scenes.
Started something. That something has grown bigger than I ever imagined.
We can do this together.
Let's go get Hera.
You're in terrible trouble.
Hey, I've seen you before.
I have to tell you something.
Conrad.
I hate your hair.
Let's go, Rebels.
Full-scale bombardment of the city. Is a Fridja, mine at last.
You got that blue flame. That's from Clone Wars last time I saw that. We'll talk about that.
I know what we have to do now. One last lesson.
That's an awesome scene.
Turns on my birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday to you, Brian.
Yeah, February 19th, buddy. Woo-hoo.
Hopefully we get this, get our scene back up here as it loads very, very slowly. Okay, there we are. So we're back. So yeah, guys, it's a really cool trailer. Obviously, the whole first part is pretty much just a recap of the series. We see Ezra on his journey.
Right.
And
well, it kind of sets the tone for how they wanted to set up the rest of it. But yeah, it definitely is pretty much a recap of what you've seen throughout the show.
Yeah, and it's about, Ezra and his journey as a Jedi. It's really pretty much the Jedi path. I mean, really, and how even the dark side,
Yeah.
how he's
Does
dealing
it
with
seem
that.
like it's still kind of going for the whole, is it tempting him to the dark side sort of theme, like a little?
To me, it seems like the Yoda, they intentionally put that Yoda scene back in there because it was, I feel like this series is going to be about him making the choice on how a Jedi chooses to win.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be the theme of the last arc, and this whole, we're basically, they're going to give us 3 weeks. We're going to get back-to-back episodes the first 2 weeks, then we get one more episode in front of that, and then we get an hour and a half for the finale. So it's going to be bing, bang, and boom. But yeah, I think that's the theme. It's going to be about how Ezra chooses to win and how he goes about doing that, whether that's dark side, light side, whatever. I think some things are going to happen, and we'll go through that. But obviously, the whole first part of the trailer was a really nice recap, though, of the series. It kind of takes you back from the beginning and where he's been. What'd you guys think about it? Did you like the recap, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed watching the kind of take you back down memory lane, if you will. I wish we could have got to see the squales.
Instead of just the eyes.
Instead of just the eye, I wish we could have seen the squales.
Yeah.
Well, I was going for the eye thing for a lot of this, because even towards the end when you get to the wolves, and so it's the first thing you notice at the end when they kind of start appearing in the background.
Right. I just, as much as we talked about the squales, I would have much rather seen that in the. But
I mean, if there's going to be a spin-off, I would opt for a squale spin-off.
Yeah.
A squale spin-off, really?
Yeah.
Squale's a Star Wars story?
Yeah.
but I really did like the. I mean, it flowed pretty good. If it was me, I might have done more of the battles.
Yeah, showed
a lot more of the spaceships and stuff.
I'd like to see more of the lightsaber duels, like on. I would like to have seen him Vader and Ahsoka duel again. Kind of remind us of that, because that was the highlight of the series so far, in my opinion.
Either that or the Obi-Wan Darth Maul, where you get that kind of quick, just
the samurai fight,
yeah.
Which was actually he tricking Maul into using his old master Qui-Gon style and tricking him essentially. So, but yeah, it was just a lot of really good stuff there, and just a real reminder. So, from this point on, we're going to go through all the new stuff. I've taken some screenshots of. I went through and screenshot off of YouTube what I thought maybe some key points that we could talk about. That's the upcoming part of the trailer. Again, bear with us. This was originally going to be a lot cooler looking. You're going to be able to see us up in the corner while we looked at the still frames, but in a smaller box. But unfortunately, the computer just can't handle it today. So that has been deleted. So if it looks a little off, there's a reason why. So please keep that in mind. But let's start with the first frame here, as it will probably change ever so slowly over to these first frame. Hopefully it'll work. You will change. There we go. Okay, so this is obviously kind of an interesting thing here, is where it's almost like we've seen this in other movies, I think in other series, where it's like somebody's had enough and they cut off their hair, is kind of the symbolism way, and
Power Rangers.
Well, other than Power Rangers,
is that a thing that happens in Power Rangers?
Yeah.
I think I've seen it.
She cut her hair. She was supposed to be a cheerleader in the beginning or whatever, and she goes rebel and she cuts her hair.
Well, that's not what I was going for, but it's kind of
gone full rebel is what you're saying,
right?
Okay.
But I think him losing his hair is kind of symbolic of him maybe finally shedding his cowboy Jedi ways.
Yeah, it's like meant to be transitionary.
Right, that he's gone back to, or he's going back to that whole Padawan look, even, because it's then the next frame that we'll see that he's kind of changed his look, and he looks very much different. He gets rid of the beard too, and he's cut his hair very, very short, and he looks very young. And again, we're trying to transition here, so.
Yeah, he went from, kind of older dude with a beard to just clean shaven, baby.
Right, and he's not wearing his battle mask either over top of his eyes because he got injured, which is interesting. And again...
I mean, maybe at that point he's like, well, it's not really serving a function, even though it could technically work as armor, I guess.
But here, if you can kind of see, he looks like a Padawan to me because he's shaved like the side of his head, kind of, sort of, and he may even have like the Padawan tail in the back.
Well, yeah,
I can't tell if it does or not.
So it looked like he buzzed the side of his head,
right?
But he left the top of it a little longer than normal. But you can tell that he cut it himself.
Right.
It's not like an actual.
It's not.
He used
not
a lightsaber.
Perfect. Yep. It's not perfect.
One of the many uses of lightsabers is you can cut your hair.
But to me, this may be symbolic of this is not Kanan Jarrus. This is Caleb Doom. This is the Jedi Padawan that
could be
that he once was. I think that's why he's doing all this. Is he's returning back to being a full, albeit a Padawan maybe, but still completely a Jedi. He's no longer.
I mean, you could see symbolically, I guess.
Yeah. That's how I see it anyway. I don't know. Any other what do you guys think? No. On that. So next one we're going to show is it looks like they brought in some reinforcements here. Hopefully it changes quickly. Come on.
It will not. It will not.
No, it's going to mock me and call me a liar. There we go. So here we see not just Rex, but we also see Gregor and I forget the third guy's name. People are going to yell at me. Anyway, you got all three of the clone troopers that we saw earlier. They're back.
But you also see them with Callus, so it could be that they're actually still piloting on the Ghost, or
could be the new Ghost crew.
Yeah,
it could replacement be Ghost crew.
That's off to the side and like a side mission sort of thing.
But it's interesting to see that Filoni's brought back, all the clone favorites minus maybe one. That was Cody, but Cody kind of turned on Obi-Wan Kenobi in Revenge of the Sith. But yeah, you got Callus in the background. And the other thing to really point out here that I think is cool is if you look at Rex is wearing what I call Return of the Jedi clothing. So I think this is done on purpose. There's been
it's similar to it.
There's been a fan theory about Rex and about whether he survives or not. And somebody actually went and watched Return of the Jedi. And when you get to the Endor scene, you see Rex in his you see an old man. And I've kind of gotten the side by side here shot, and you see that old man. Yeah. So I think this is a little retcon by Filoni saying that Rex does indeed survive
we already knew
all the way through Return of the Jedi.
We knew he did.
This was the
They had said that. Yeah, they had said that in the beginning when somebody was going
through the thing. So here we have visual evidence of just that. So I thought that was pretty neat that he finally threw that in there at the very end. So we see Rex in Return of the Jedi clothing. Why he's wearing, I don't know, that kind of armor or that
on a desert planet.
On a maybe not so much a desert planet, but a wheat field planet. Mm-hmm. Not so sure, but it is a very cool nod to everything that's going on. But yeah, I really like that whole. It's just a really cool nod by
by it's Filoni. A nice little Easter egg.
It is. It's very much a very cool thing. And here we go. Next up, this is just a shot of another headshot of Kanan, and this time he's with Hera. So we do know that these two will be reunited, at least briefly, perhaps. I don't know about you guys.
It's followed right by when she turns the lightsaber on and it goes through his abdomen.
She slays him in very much Han Solo style.
Yeah, essentially.
We did see in the scene before this. Mm-hmm. And she's like, you guys, and she's laughing while she's like, you guys are in so much trouble. And then you see the lightsaber come through the floor and the stormtrooper falls.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's what this
is immediately right after that. Yeah. So my theory, and if it's a spoiler alert, it is. If it's not, oh well. Because it's a speculation, I have no idea. But I've got a feeling Kanan doesn't last very long. Mm-hmm. In fact, I'm thinking first episode, maybe second episode back in. I don't think he survives. He may not even survive this rescue attempt.
I don't know. I think if you were going to kill him off, you'd do it for like the season finale, especially since it's like an hour long, right?
Yeah. Well, it's an hour and a half long. Yeah. Really 2 hours because there's an episode in front of it. But
yeah.
So you think they'll save it?
I mean, if you were going to do it, I would put it closer to the end. That way, if you
Climax.
actually do have something where you have like Ezra fighting like Palpatine, like you'd
Right.
actually have that kind of emotional drive going into it, and you wouldn't have the distance left slowing it down.
I'm thinking they might do it because I think, I think they're going to do it because I think they're going to use that for maybe Ezra's last temptation of the dark side and how he deals with losing his master and all that. That's just my thought. I don't know.
Could be.
Brian, what do you think?
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, like if you have him killed off by Palpatine or stormtroopers or whatever, like it's not necessarily an incentive to join that side. It's like, hey, I killed that dude you were really fond of. Come hang out with me.
Well, no, but it would definitely turn into the dark side though if he gives into his hate.
Give in to the hate. Give in to the
that's
anger.
what he tried to do with the Emperor. Tried to do with Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give in. Yeah, because your friends are lost. You know, and he drove him over the edge. So, all right. So next scene, which is really cool. Looks like we go on another one of our famous Force walks. I think this is kind of a hybrid between what we've seen with the Wolves this season and what we saw Ezra kind of do in the Jedi Temple when he first got his...
it's very similar to what you see in the Jedi Temple, yeah.
Yeah, when he gets his lightsaber crystal for the first time, his Kyber crystal. So, very cool. The only thing that's kind of interesting is it looks like there might be some of those symbols that we saw on the wall, kind of also off in the space. It looks like there's like a little snake or something up there in the corner.
Like cave paintings.
Like the cave paintings are actually reflected in this, so they're more symbolic than just cave paintings, I guess.
Almost looks like they're constellations.
Yeah, very much so. And they could very well be. So we're going to do some serious, I think we're definitely going to go into some Force mythology here with this, and I think we're going to see a lot of things happen, especially with this whole scene, because I think we're going to see a lot of Clone Wars throwback. Here it looks like he's on that same Force walk, and suddenly he's encountered by some blue fire. We saw this in the Clone Wars Season 6, when we got that extra half of a season on Netflix. We see Yoda. We see Sidious use this like blue flame in order to give Yoda this vision and whatnot, and try to tempt Yoda to the dark side, essentially, or overthrow him, so to speak. So I think that's what this is. I think that's a great throwback to, it seems like Rebels is really just kind of like a sequel series to the Clone Wars, and we've kind of talked about that before.
Yeah, well, it's one of the benefits of having Filoni as a showrunner for both shows.
Right, exactly. Brian, what do you think? What do you think going on here?
Yeah, I mean, everything you said makes sense so far, so
okay,
I'll go with what you're talking about.
So, and as we transition to the next scene very slowly, we will see indeed that in the blue flame, coming through the blue flame, is indeed Darth Sidious himself. And you kind of see him, in this scene, it's a real vague. But
is that Sidious?
Yes, and you'll see in a minute in the next slide. There's a very close-up shot, but if you see in the background here, in between the flames, you can kind of see the hood. You can see his jawline and his dark side eyes.
I wasn't sure if that was him or if that was actually Palpatine.
I'm pretty sure. Well, Sidious and Palpatine are the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Palpatine, the Emperor, is Darth Sidious.
Oh, okay.
So just for reference.
I'm not aware of that.
Yep. In fact, and then here in this next shot, if it transfers over, there it is. Obviously, that's the Rebels' interpretation of the Emperor, which we haven't seen yet.
And they even got whatchamacallit to come back to play him.
Yeah, and Ian McDermott is voicing him as well.
Yeah.
It's not actually like a bad version of like the character though.
No,
it still gives him kind of a creepy thing, and actually like in some ways looks better than it does in Clone Wars.
Yeah, I was gonna say I actually kind of like this version, at least this close shot of him, better than I do the Clone Wars version, which is a little bit more rugged and kind of rough cut.
Yeah. Well, then you have like so many more like little details that kind of give it more of an aged look, but more like zombie than like actually just withering old dude.
Right. And I think this is, he's going to go on this Force walk, and I think for the first time, instead of being all good, he's going to encounter Sidious, and this is where Sidious is going to maybe tempt him, even, or try to throw him off track. Or maybe this is where we hear Sidious say, because we hear him in the trailer say, Ezra Bridger at last, Maybe this is that scene that he has this encounter with Sidious with. I don't know. But obviously, also on all these walks, we have not only the dark side, but now we have the light side, and we have the return of the Star Wars owl, better known as a conveyor.
It looks like a different owl, though. Like, I don't remember the green tint to it.
I do. This is the same one that we see at the end of Season 2 when Ahsoka, after the Darth Vader-Ahsoka battle.
Why is it missing an eye?
It's not. He's kind of winking there. I kind of caught him in the middle of a wink.
Oh, I thought they were
It's
going
just
over
the lighting.
they're going over the whole Thor thing.
No, not at all.
He's missing an eye.
Spoiler alert for Thor 3. But yeah, this is that same owl we see at the end where that flies away as Vader's walking away, and then we see Ahsoka kind of ascend very briefly into the Sith Temple after the fight, and
So do you think this is a hinting at Ahsoka returning?
I do. Yeah, I think this is a big hint. We also see this same owl in last season. It was on the shoulder of the Bendu, along with another one, actually a male version. Is how.
Because I thought there was one that was almost like all white.
It was, but
like brown or something.
It was that the other one was brown. This one was white with the green tint on the head. But
I don't remember the green tint. I think that's the bit that's throwing me off.
Yeah, I think Sabine kind of in her drawing, it's all white on her shoulder pad or whatever. So we're gonna see the light side. We're gonna see the dark. We get to see the dark side on his journey, and we're gonna see the light side as well. So next scene is Kanan in like a duel, essentially. And if we can get it to load, we'll see him kind of just using his lightsaber kind of up at an angle. So he's obviously fighting somebody. What is he fighting? Who is he fighting?
Well, either that or could be reflecting a blast or something, couldn't it?
Could be. It's very possible.
I mean, we've already seen plenty of opportunities, even just in the trailer so far, where you could just been shot at by a stormtrooper or something.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'd love for it to be a lightsaber.
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be a lightsaber because there's no lines coming off of it. Looks like it actually is just a
blast.
Yeah.
Now, I think it could be a blast. It could be another lightsaber, but I think what he's actually fighting is Rook with his staff, and as it transitions ever so slowly again, we'll see that as a matter of fact, we'll see him because Rook has that
like the double staff.
Yeah, the double staff. So here you can see Kanan in a stance, and there's Rook with his lightning, and I've got a better shot on the next scene of these two. But yeah, so this was interesting that Rook is going up against not just Ezra so far, but now he's going up against Kanan.
Yeah.
So here's here's probably the best shot I got of it.
Yeah.
So you can clearly see.
But I mean, like, you actually have Rook as being kind of a badass assassin bodyguard thing. Like, it makes sense you'd want to use him as like an actual proponent.
Yeah, I don't know if Kanan is going down in this.
You don't want him to be killed by Rook.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about him being taken down by Rook. Just because
you don't want him to die to the assassin.
Not to an assassin. I want him to go down by Vader's hand. or the Emperor's hand, or
there's
maybe an
universe that don't die by Vader.
Or bring back an Inquisitor, or bring out a new Inquisitor.
You know what's weird?
Like
it is weird. We never saw any more Inquisitors.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure the 8th brother survived. I thought.
Not just that, but like there's numbers they skipped.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so you would assume there were other Inquisitors.
Yeah,
but like you never see them.
So either there's more out there, or they were the last of the Inquisitors because for whatever reason, I don't know. Yeah, that's a question they leave open ended.
Maybe that's the new series.
Could
the
be
last of the Inquisitors.
The new series will be
the last Inquisitors.
The last of the Mohicans.
We had the Last Jedi. Now we got the last Inquisitors. So yeah, that's the only thing. I like the idea that he's going up against Rook. I want to see this battle, but at the same time, if this is his final battle, I certainly don't want it to be against him.
Yeah.
He's a cool character and all, great assassin, but
at the same time, you've only really seen him introduced maybe 3 episodes in the season so far. He's not like a character you have a lot of backstory.
Right.
For.
There's no. He's just a means to an end, and I don't mean that by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, it'd just be one of those things like, oh, that's just the way you wrote that, I guess. Okay.
Right. I'd rather see him up against.
There's no emotional thing to it.
At least put him up against some serious odds, and I think we might see that, and this might be evidenced by the next shot that I got, and I could be way off base, but here. It looks like we've got, and this could be Kanan's end. I'm just theorizing here. This obviously there's or this is where he first meets Hera. I can't tell, but this could be where he's trying to defend Hera. Something happens, and maybe he takes a blaster bolt for her, and that's what, heroic ending, kind of romantic heroic ending. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, like, if that's how he goes, like, that's fine. It's just, it's a bit of a cliche at this point, isn't it?
Well, it's a little bit.
Wrong, like, yeah, you're going through like similar stories and like reusing them and such, but like,
yeah,
I don't know, like, it just seems kind of anticlimactic in some ways. Like, if that's how you want to go about it.
Well, I don't mind him. I want to see him sacrifice himself, but I don't want him to. Like I said, I'd rather see him. I don't know, go up against somebody big rather than like a bunch of stormtroopers
just walking away after this. Like, he doesn't have to die.
He doesn't have to. I just think. I think it's almost.
He doesn't have to martyr himself out.
He does not, and I've said, and Filoni has shown us that Ahsoka can survive, and I'm sure everybody could survive if he wanted to. He can make that happen. I just got a feeling this time around. Yeah, I think he's on his way out the door. I could be completely off base. I don't know.
You're fine, man. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they killed a few characters off. It's just, I don't feel like it's necessarily something they have to do.
They don't have to. I just think, for story-wise, and especially if they're going to wrap up this whole story arc with the rebels, this group of rebels, I think it's kind of necessary. I don't know. What do you think, Brian?
I don't think he has to die in it. I think he could very well. The only issue is we know that Hera makes it.
Right. We know Hera, Chopper survive.
We know Hera. We know Chopper. We know Rex.
Right.
So the fact that we're not sure about Kanan, maybe he's on the aircraft when they're on at Rogue One there.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he does make it, but I don't think Aaron. I don't think he has to die in this in order to serve the overall arc. I don't think he has to die.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, so we'll transition over to the next scene here, and it slowly does so. Damn computer. So this next scene will actually be of Thrawn, and it's a real quick shot of Thrawn. They don't give you a lot, but what we do see is a very different expression on Thrawn's face, I thought, and that being that he's not the cool collective Thrawn looking here. To me, this isn't the
he just looks annoyed.
He looks annoyed and he looks pissed off to me.
Like, he has the same look of like when you go to the restroom and there's no toilet paper. That's what he looks like.
To me, though, me it's a little bit more than that.
What do you mean milk's not on sale?
To me, I mean, part of what makes Thrawn cool is he's always cool, he's always calm, and we've only seen him lose his temper once, and that's when somebody made fun of Art way back last season.
Right. Well, this is also the same scene, right, when he says full assault on the city,
which we'll show next.
Yeah. So,
but it just makes me wonder: is it really that, or is he under that pressure? Because the one in the beginning of the year, the one scene we didn't get to see so far was of him and what's his name? Tarkin. And Tarkin goes, whatchamacallit is
working on Stardust.
Stardust, yeah. His project Stardust. So I'm wondering if he's under pressure now
to get results.
And bring this whole rebel thing on Lothal to an end. So I'm just wondering if that's getting to him here. If we're going to see a change in Thrawn here at the end where he's not very cool. And maybe he's not as tactful. Maybe he's just more ruthless and more bloodlust.
It's interesting because, like, up until like the one major assault for the mid-season, like, you don't really see Thrawn go beyond the still kind of studying his opponent thing. So it'd be interesting if it like really transitions that quickly from kind of one partially failed mission to just losing his shit.
Well, to me, because this next scene, we'll see the aerial bombardment that he orders. That's not really Thrawn to me, because Thrawn is he's more honor bound. He's more this is very ruthless for
Well, it could
Thrawn.
just be maybe that is part of why he dislikes it. Like, maybe it is kind of an order from on up, and he's middle management at this point.
That's very, very true. Or he's forced to do this because he has to get results. It's kind of what I'm thinking. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's being pressured to show results. And this is the only way he knows how to force everybody out into the open.
Yeah, kind of just flush them out.
Yeah.
No matter what the results, no matter the casualties to the civilians, which it's like I said, Thrawn up to this point has always been kind of like he's a bad guy. Don't get me wrong, but he's kind of almost honor bound. Like he's always about the strategy. He's about the art of war. He's not about war per se, but he's about the art of it. Like that's his main concern.
Well, yeah, but this isn't the first time we've actually seen the Sith or like the Empire itself use burning down.
No, definitely not
towns as a way of like kind of having action.
This is straight up Empire, yeah, lore and their tactics for sure. So,
but it's also you haven't really seen Thrawn in a more larger war scale situation. You've seen him dealing with smaller rebellions.
Yes.
So it could be this. Maybe the tactics change depending on the situation.
Right, exactly. I'm thinking he's being forced by.
No. I mean,
pressure-wise.
This might just be he's moving to a different kind of plan. Like he's not focusing on the rebels themselves, but on a larger.
Just on the larger aspect. That could be the game, and maybe it's changed for him. Next scene is just a quick scene, and you can see Ezra kind of in the middle of a force jump, which is cool in itself. But the reason why I got this is if you look in the background on this scene, this looks to be where that second cave, they went through the planet. So it looks like the Empire has found them on the other side of the planet now. Yeah. So we were going to have some sort of a confrontation there. So it looks like the Empire is still chasing the rebels no matter where they're at. So they're still under quite a bit of pressure to me. And
but yeah, I mean, essentially, as long as the Empire thinks they're alive, there's going to be some pursuit, most likely.
Yeah, and that they found them there, that, their new base already. I guess you would call it their base or haven.
Well, I mean, you can essentially fly around the planet in a week or so, depending on how they've set up the distance here.
Well, I mean,
if they said going from the northern to the southern hemisphere would take 2 to 3 days.
Well, if you were on the planet itself,
yeah.
But if you were obviously in space, no problem. A few minutes. Here's another shot. This is just kind of Sabine in action. I thought it was kind of a cool shot. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun to see the jetpack.
Oh yeah, I love seeing the Mandalorian in flight, and I even like her smaller jetpack. It's a more compact version, if you will, colorful version. But yeah, I think this is probably taking place in the same kind of scene.
Yeah, I would assume.
And it looks like she looks like she either fired something or she's flying after something.
I think she's flying. She probably just fired her missile. I grabbed this shot real quick, just kind of showing the ghost in in an inverted state, trying to shoot down that Imperial. So we're going to see probably Hera back in the ghost, doing her thing, doing what she does best in Rebels as well. So we're going to get a little bit of taste of a little bit of everything, I think. And then this next scene I thought was even more interesting to me, because I never thought that this could that this was a possibility. As soon as it shows up, I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. But looks like the actual base. If you look down at the bottom here it looks like there's thrusters on it. So it looks like the base itself for the Empire is taking off. And this might go back to the earlier this season when we heard, I think it was General Order, I believe it was 13. Which is the complete evacuation of an occupied planet.
Yeah.
Maybe this is...
Right before they more or less
destroy it. Maybe this is evidence of that.
Well, maybe this takes place before Thrawn says...
Bombard the city.
Bombard the city.
Right. So a couple different things could be going on here. I just thought it was interesting that the whole base itself could suddenly fly off.
Well, I thought when we saw it in the beginning... I actually thought that. I was like, oh, look, they built a base on Lothal. Like as in, they built a base that could actually take off from Lothal. Like, that's what I thought it was when we first saw it.
Right.
So, I mean, that is kind of cool that it's
there.
It's there looking. We might be able to get to see that.
Yeah. Next scene is basically it's a shot of all the rebels together, and there's some cool facts, cool returning characters. The rebels, it looks like, are reinforced on Lothal. Here, obviously, you see there's a couple key things to take in. Hondo is back. You see that, again, you've got Gregor, one of the other clone troopers. You've got Callus.
Yeah, what's her name?
Yes, and that's the other thing. You've got Governor Price there. Looks like she may be indeed be a prisoner of the rebels. So they've taken Price captive.
Or is she defected?
Maybe. I don't see her character defecting. She's awfully hardcore unless the only way I see Price defecting, and I don't know what you guys think about this, but is if her life's in danger. Like if
Well, either
she's
that or she just is no longer governor and is just being more or less forcibly retired, to put it lightly.
Yeah, I don't see the Empire forcibly retiring
Although
anybody.
it does look like
Well, I mean-
it does look like whatchamacallit has a gun to her back.
Right, I forget his name, but he's the leader of Lothal's
Yeah.
rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she could be in handcuffs. She could not be. I don't know. It's a very interesting scene to me because the other thing is there's no Kanan, there's no Ezra. So obviously, I think at some point you're going to see the rebels off doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And like we've seen in the past, you'll see Kanan and Ezra doing their Jedi things off to the side.
I actually would assume it does that.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you're going to go for a finale, you definitely want to have probably the division of the more military style versus the more Jedi style.
The Jedi style
battles.
And the other thing that's interesting about this, and you see Hera huddled around with Sabine. Everybody's huddled around. And it looks like Zeb is almost leading the group, which is interesting.
Well, I mean, he's definitely talking at that point. Whether that makes him leader of it is
right. But yeah,
the central focus of that
shot is on him. So if that would be an interesting change for Zeb. You know, if he becomes like the semi.
Like a somewhat higher up leader.
At least, or he's running the mission anyway. That would be a kind of a change for him.
Well, I mean, you haven't really had a lot of character progress for Zeb for like the last season or two, so
right.
I'm not necessarily against the idea of actually having him kind of change or go up a bit.
Gotcha. So this is just a shot I found of looks like Ezra has a rematch with Rook. Looks like Rook's really making his rounds with the rebels.
Yeah. So this is either before he fights Kanan, or it's Ezra trying to get revenge for
Kanan, or it's the same battle.
I was gonna say, or during
the it's a Jedi, two Jedis against him, kind of like a Darth Maul team up Jedi against the Sith kind of thing.
I mean, it'd be very similar in that he does have, instead of having the dual lightsaber, he has just the dual electric thing.
Yeah. I forget what they're called now. No. But we do see also, and I found this, and it's very blurry, this next shot, but it also appears to me like Rook has made his rounds not just with Kanan, not just with Ezra, but also possibly with Zeb. It's very, to me, that's definitely Zeb. That could indeed be Rook as well. It's very blurry to tell.
Yeah.
But that is one fight I would want to see. Of all the three fights, that's the one I'd want to see because you have Zeb, who is nimble and is a powerhouse, against this well-trained assassin. That's the fight I want to see of all the rebels. I don't know about you guys.
Well, that and like his gun, he has the staff gun thing that would actually be kind of an interesting clash with like Rook's also staff weapon.
So it would be kind of cool to see these two go at it because I kind of see these two as evenly matched, even though they're different sizes. It would be well,
yeah, because Rook, despite being smaller, is actually shown to be very strong.
Yeah, and if Zeb's going to go down in this case, I wouldn't mind. To me, in my mind anyway, I'd be okay with this.
In your mind, they're equal?
They're equal in my mind. I don't know.
Like, Kanan's too good to go down by Rook, but Zeb can die.
Zeb could die.
That's some shit right there.
Yeah, I'm showing my
Zeb.
Jedi prejudice, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of racist.
I know, sorry.
I mean, it's not like Zeb doesn't have his own Force sensitivities.
Right.
You know, with his own religious interpretation of
Well, he does. It's true. So, but yeah, so it's pretty cool. Next scene is very cool scene, and
maybe Zeb can pull from the mycelial network.
A little Star Trek cut over. It binds the universe together. Yeah. I love how they borrowed that from Star Wars.
That's pretty funny.
All right, this is a really cool scene, and if I hadn't accidentally stopped the video, I probably would have passed over it because there's only a couple brief things of this, but
look how large that wolf is.
Yeah, he's huge, and obviously you can tell that just by Ezra. So we've seen the other wolves, which are already twice the size of Ezra, and now you've got this gargantuan king wolf, is what I'm calling him for now.
Yeah, I mean, Kanan's pretty big right there.
I don't know. What's the name of the wolf from Rampage? I think it's in that size range. It's like he's a building at that point.
So it looks, it's obviously incredibly menacing, but this is obviously the leader of the pack.
That's Dune.
Yes, it could be Dune. Then that's a great transition for our next scene that will hopefully load quickly. Because I think this wolf is either one or two people, interpretation-wise. And as soon as it loads... Because this scene here is crucial. Because to me, that wolf right there is smiling at Ezra. Not like it wants to eat him smiling, but like
Well,
it
I mean, it
knows
might
him.
want to eat him.
So,
It might know.
so if you look at the eyes
are blue.
the eyes are different than all the other wolves.
Mm-hmm. The eyes are blue. Kanan has green eyes. Okay, so but Ahsoka had blue eyes. So, to me, it could be Ahsoka. It could, but more likely to me, even though it has blue eyes, I think it's more Kanan. I think this is
What if
a Force representation after the fact.
What if this is Ahsoka
Okay.
and the owl with green eyes is Kanan?
Ooh. There we go. A little switch up.
Or, as an alternative theory, it's just a giant wolf.
It could just be a giant wolf.
Well, that's no fun.
Like, it doesn't have to be the reincarnation of anyone.
It doesn't have to be.
Also, I don't know how... Is reincarnation a thing in the Star Wars universe?
Not really. No, you
Okay.
just become one with the Force, or you manifest yourself if you're trained well.
Yeah, so
as a Force ghost.
Clearly, like, this thing would have been around for several years if it's the leader of the pack, right? Also, it's gigantic.
Not necessarily.
But time and space with the Force aren't necessarily, it's not a constant. It's kind of...
Is there a situation in which universe, like, time works differently in certain parts of the universe than others?
It's possible.
It could.
I mean,
it could.
It could,
theoretically.
like when they walk through the center of the planet.
Yeah, when they do their Force walk. It's hard to say because this whole wolf interpretation and these wolves being Force sensitive and having a strong connection to the Force is new, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Well, it's Filoni putting something new in there.
Right, exactly. So we're expanding upon some Force mythology here. So could it just be a giant wolf? Yes, it could. Could it be Ahsoka?
I'm not saying it's not Force sensitive. By all means, you look at the wolves, they're all fucking Force sensitive.
Right. Could it just be a wolf? Yes, it could just be a wolf. Could it be Ahsoka? It could.
So,
Could
another
it be
question.
Kanan? It could.
Does it say anything other than Dune?
I don't know.
Like,
Yeah, it said sleep.
Yeah, it did.
no, like the giant one.
We don't know
Oh,
yet.
we don't know. We haven't
This
heard.
is we haven't
Like-
seen this yet. This is just a preview.
But the other one said sleep, and it said Dune. So
Like, I just want to make sure they're not doing the Pokemon thing where they're just saying
But-
their own name.
But I could.
Ahsoka.
But considering when you consider the fact that the wolves have been speaking to Kanan and calling out his old name Dune to him, and the fact that I think Kanan bites it pretty early on, and that Ezra might be lost for maybe an episode or two, and this might be his way back,
Okay.
kind of thing. And kind of guiding him forward, maybe. Or maybe this could just
So
be
this is the
Ezra's.
wolves being like, hey, you've been fucking up. Stop it. Stop fucking up.
Well, or it could be Ezra's, because Ezra has he is the Jedi whisperer, animal whisperer. Maybe this is, if you want to take
Jedi Doolittle.
Jedi Doolittle. If you want to take the ultimate, if you want to take other mythologies and put it in there, because that's what Star Wars does. This could be Ezra's ultimate animal spirit guide or whatever. If you want to
Well,
go
either
that
that
route with
or
it.
he's just a giant tank if he wants to break shit.
He could. So
Because, I mean, if you go to a scene or two later when you have Ezra with, like, the wolf's eyes opening behind him, yeah, it seems like he wants to use them to fuck shit up.
yeah, well, he's going to, I'm sure, but still.
And, like, if you have the opportunity to do that, yes, you definitely do that. Like, there's no way, like, you don't write that in.
Right. So here, this wolf to me, though, because the other eyes to me, the other wolves have Sith eyes because they're yellow. But I guess wolf's eyes are naturally yellow. But this one is definitely different. There's something about this one that's vastly different from the other ones, other than
And that
size.
is gigantic.
Gigantic. Just from that scene right there, there's something familiar.
Well, that could also be lighting as well.
It could be, but granted, it's one shot out of a zillion that I've captured. But still, I'm just saying. And speaking of going deep into Force mythology, this next scene is definitely evidence of that, and is definitely a huge throwback to the Clone Wars. And you guys, you've heard me talk about this before. This particular arc that was in the Clone Wars called the Mortis trilogy, and come on, switch. Where there was a father, a son, and a sister, and the son was the dark side of the Force. The sister was the light side of the Force, and the father was kind of overall top of them. They were called Force Wheelers, and they kind of they put out a call to basically like a distress signal that lured Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka, and Anakin Skywalker all to them, essentially, and they end up in this like strange like force planet or cube or something like that. But anyway, the force basically flowed through this entire planet, and it had light, it had dark. The planet would regenerate itself, and then it would die off with the dark side. It was all about balance, etc. And you had these three characters that were a part of that. Well, one of the things that happens in this Mortis trilogy, just as I'll go ahead and spoil it, because I've told you guys to watch this multiple times on other podcasts that we've done, is essentially the brother using the dark side temporarily possesses Ahsoka over to the dark side, and she kind of dies, and the brother actually kills the sister, and the sister in her last act through the father kind of transferring her force essence saves Ahsoka. So Ahsoka is literally brought back to life because the sister, using her last moments of life, basically brings Ahsoka back to life. So there is a major connection between Ahsoka and the light side of the force and the daughter.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that could be part of where this is going with Ahsoka again. Or it could just be generally building off the mythology more and like kind of rebuilding it within the universe. Right,
and to me this is huge because obviously not only do you have these same three characters from the Clone Wars showing up in this painting, it's obviously lighting up, but it also looks like it's on Lothal because you see the Lothal mountain, which could be that Jedi temple.
Right, that's what I was going to say. That looks like the Jedi temple.
So maybe this is like a third level of that temple, because the first time they got it, they're in the first level. And then the second time it raised up even higher. So maybe this is even below even that. Yeah. Maybe.
So like each time you kind of go to like deeper secrets.
Into secrets of what Lothal is. And we've also, in the past, we've heard the Emperor is very interested in Lothal and not just for making TIE fighters. That's been established by, not the governor, but the girl that was below her. Who ended up dying, who they were trying to save. Anyway, she was like a...
The one that was defecting?
Yeah, defecting. Yeah. And she said, I know what the Emperor wants.
And they blew her up?
Yeah, and then they blew her up. We never found out what that was. So maybe this is part of that revelation of what's going on here, but we're definitely going to dive back into this. This could just be an Easter egg. It could just be a nod, but I just don't see that being the case. It's too...
I think it'd be a waste if you use it as a nod. Like if it's just like a cameo sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like it's a real opportunity to build on mythology and like kind of add to the universe.
Exactly.
And if you don't necessarily have another variant of the show sort of thing lined up or spin off or whatever, this might be like one of the last things you could really add to like the universe.
Yeah, and you see this thing kind of light up, and you see in the background it looks like it's almost starting to disintegrate. So maybe there's something behind the painting. Because
I assumed it was a door.
It could be.
I thought it was actually opening up.
It could very well be. It's hard to tell.
What it almost looks like to me is that the whole planet is blowing up, but the temple is still there.
So maybe that's what's going on. Maybe that's the energy of the planet disintegrate. Could be the last shot of the whole series. I think it's more of a revelation though, because you can't really see him in this shot because I had a hard time getting the whole shot and Ezra in it. But he's actually down by the sister. The very bottom, you kind of see like a little round thing there in that circle. That's actually Ezra's head. So that gives you an idea of how vast this mural is, that painting, or whatever you want to call it, is. But so we're definitely going back to the Clone Wars again. We're going back to that Mortis arc. We're going, the fact that we're seeing that same conveyor that we saw at the end of Vader and Ahsoka. I got a feeling Vader's going to show up because Vader was a part of that original trilogy, or not trilogy, but that arc. He was there as Anakin Skywalker. She was there. Does Kenobi show up? Probably not, because he's got to go off and do Episode 4. But he could. They could maybe figure out a way to do it, but I doubt it.
He flies by and just like, oh, yeah, I remember those guys.
So, and it would be hard to put Vader in it, too, because we're coming up on Rogue One real close, too.
Maybe we see Han Solo.
I actually think it's really unlikely we see Vader here.
I would like to see it, but you're right. It could be. It just could be the big reveal that I think Ahsoka could actually be brought back as the new daughter of the Force, because there's an imbalance with the Force, kind of thing. Like it's a restoring of the light.
So like one person always has to take one of their roles.
Right. So Vader is the dark side, and she's the light side. She's Vader's.
Well, yeah, but you'd be moving them beyond Jedis into like higher Force wielders,
right?
Thing.
Which these Force wielders
you really don't see with Anakin Skywalker throughout his arc in the films.
No,
so that actually doesn't seem likely.
No, this is, Anakin Skywalker is the he's the one who does bring balance to the Force. He kills off the Sith. That's how that's balanced as far as Lucas is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
It's all light, no dark.
Mm-hmm.
Some people also see it as it should be light and dark, and it's a bunch of different interpretations obviously going on. So we're going to be deep into it. We're going to see something happen. What it is, maybe it's just a nod. I seriously doubt it though, because he said Ahsoka we'll see her again. We're not sure how. We're not sure way. He said that he said when he thought about her, it was about how they brought back whatchamacallit.
So that's the owl on her shoulder over there?
Right. Exactly. So you have the owl on her shoulder representing the light. He actually turns into a bat, which is not represented there. The brother.
Yeah.
For the dark side of the Force. But anyway, it's all kind of there. You've got, it looks like it could be a star map. There's other symbols off to the side. It could be, it's hard to say what exactly is going on here. But yeah, we're definitely diving deep back into Force mythology, and back into the Clone Wars. Essentially, it's another throwback. So, next slide. It's right at the end. We see Ezra talking to what appears to be a hologram of some kind of a cloaked figure. Who is this cloaked figure? Not sure. Because we only get the wide shot. At first glance, I would say that is definitely Sidious, but it could be a Jedi of some kind. It could be Obi-Wan Kenobi, or one thought I did have is maybe he finds another Jedi holocron, and because holocrons contained Obi-Wan's message, maybe it's another message from an ancient Jedi or somebody else.
What if it's Ahsoka?
Could be Ahsoka. Hard to say. Maybe it's Ahsoka on a holocron. I don't know. It could be anything. Could be the light. Could be the dark. The most obvious answer is the Emperor. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it's too hard to say. Especially, it's going to be a matter of where this pops up in the next few episodes.
Well, it looks like it's...
Like, if it's earlier on, you could make an argument for it either being the Emperor, or you can make an argument for it being Ahsoka or something like that.
Yeah.
But as it gets later into it, it seems more likely it could be a thing. It could be meant to kind of give the possibility for a storyline down the road sort of situation.
It's possible. So, if you look at the background, though, I don't think this is the Jedi Temple.
No,
because
it looks almost like a warehouse.
They're either in a warehouse or they're outside the city, and because there looks to be some sort of rock formation in front of them, some sort of ruins or something. So, I don't know, Brian. What do you think?
It's not Yoda.
It's not Yoda. I think that's probably a safe assumption.
Yeah,
either that or it's Yoda in a big cloak and he's just on a chair.
Yeah,
and the chair is partially covered by the cloak.
It's hard to say who it is. My guess is going to be, I'm going to go with Ahsoka.
Okay.
Only because the scene doesn't look like it's like a dire scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't look particularly confrontational.
Yeah, so my guess is it's going to be Ahsoka or somebody from his past, maybe his mother.
Ooh.
Or somebody
like his parents or something.
Yeah, like maybe somebody pushing him back
to
the light side, like he's got that rage and they're kind of pushing him back.
Right.
Showing him the path, I don't know.
Yeah. The only thing, that we can take away from this is, and it's hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure that this is the same scene that we see, the final scene in the trailer, which is where he gives I know what I need to do now, one last lesson. So I'm pretty sure...
you think that's the same scene?
I think this is the same scene, opposite way.
Now, they're both, the lighting's very similar.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a possibility.
It's hard to tell for sure, but it seems that whatever conversation he has with this person, whether it be the Emperor and he's figure out a way to stop him, or it's somebody giving him some advice. He's obviously made up his mind by this point what he has to do. And it's obviously he's choosing the fight. Now, how he's choosing the fight, I'm not sure, but it looks like he's definitely on the attack with his wolf friends in the background. What do you guys think of this scene? I love this scene.
Yeah, it's a highlight for it because it has that suspense. It has that concept of like just going to go out and just destroy things. Yeah. It looks interesting.
Yeah, what do you think, Brian?
I mean, it definitely has like this is the beginning of whatever battle he's getting ready to do, and that he has the wolves behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Although one thing I did notice that we haven't seen in the whole trailer was the Lothcats.
Yeah, well, there isn't a Lothcat so far.
It's really funny because even Filoni in his last tweet message that he put out said follow the Lothcat.
Yeah,
and it was like because he said just finish the music for the whole series.
You're right.
Follow the Lothcat.
Yeah, that's been his tagline.
And and we don't even see it anywhere in the trailer.
To me, follow the Lothcat is like follow the White Rabbit and wonder, just how deep are you going to go down the rabbit hole. That's to me what he's referring to, but hard to say. But I love this last scene. I love the last line. I know what I have to do now. Time for one last lesson. So is this the moment where he, like Yoda tells him, is this how a Jedi chooses to win? Now, has he gone to the dark side? Is he staying with the light?
I don't think he's choosing the dark side because the wolves are behind him.
Maybe. I don't know.
Also, at this point, I would really kind of hope they moved beyond just having that is he, won't he sort of thing, like with the storyline. Like
he seems to be more Jedi than Sith. That's evident after last season.
He has been for most of it.
Yeah.
Outside of, a few things here and there. So, like, at this point, like, you're wrapping up the series, I don't really think there's a need to keep going with that kind of storyline for it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because up to this point, I mean, how a Jedi chooses to win, we saw Luke Skywalker save his father by essentially sacrificing himself. We saw Luke Skywalker essentially trick, force project himself in The Last Jedi, spoiler alert, by the way, in a way to save and restart everything, and so it was always done in a peaceful way. So it'll be interesting to see which route Filoni decides to take with
but you could also go back to the Clone Wars where, like, Jedis burn shit to the ground all the time.
Right, but that's why they fell, too, because of what, they allowed themselves to be corrupted. Every time they killed somebody, they lost a little bit more of the light, So, but at some point you do have to fight, too, so I don't know, but we'll see. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up my I guess my frame by frame breakdown of the trailer. I certainly hope you guys enjoyed it. I apologize again for the technical difficulties. The show must go on, though. Obviously, we were supposed to be up in that little corner so you could see us. Didn't work out, but we made the best of it, I think. And before we go, where can you find 4 Midwest Guys? Well, it's real simple here. Hopefully, it'll switch over quickly for us. There we go. And again, you can find us at www.4midwestguys.com. If you go to the website, everything's there for you. You've got the YouTube videos, you've got the Podbean, you've got the iTunes links, you got our links to our Twitter or Facebook accounts. Everything's there. It's your one-stop shop. Everything's categorized per show, or you can just go chronologically on the page itself. Again, that's the number 4midwestguys.com. You can find us on Twitter at 4midwestguys. You can find Mr. Ankenbauer at Angzone. You can find myself at bwilly1977. And Brian, we got something new kicking now, I believe. It's
yes, it's kicking.
Kicking. What do you
all
got?
over on Instagram at _real_Ank. And you can find some behind the scenes photos, and I just posted a video today of us getting ready for this podcast.
And me dealing with all the technical issues and cussing out the computer, I'm sure. So, with that in mind, folks, we appreciate you watching. I would show us waving goodbye, but I don't want to tax the computer too much. So, with that said, this is Brian. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Yep. Aaron, thanks for joining us.
Yep, no problem.
This is B. Willie say, may the force be with you always.
Bye.